Welcome back to Guild Wars Prophecies. We are getting pretty close to finishing out Pre-searing. I'm going to work now on finishing out the Crichton armor upgrade. I don't think I'm going to do the helmet because the only way, I think I'd mentioned previously, that originally you could get the Crichton helmet upgrade in Pre-searing. You had to wait until the second part of the game. They added it in where you could get the Crichton helmet upgrade. Again, it's something that's been a benefit for in order to get the helmet, and I'll show you where the trader is later because it was something that was added later on in the life of the game. But the collectible item to get the Crichton helmet is 50 red iris flowers, which spawns. I think there's a fixed amount that you can get in a day, if I remember correctly. It's like 6. I remember reading a chart a long time ago about how many you could get in, the different spawn locations. But anyway, it would have taken like a week or two, or possibly somebody may have had a stack that I could buy or trade for. But since once you get to the next area, you can get what you need to pick up the Crichton helmet pretty quickly. And I decided that I'm not going to max out everything in Pre-searing. I finally decided just to wait. The problem is what I'm doing right now, which is getting the vacant husks to turn into the collector right over here up on the hill above Ashford Abbey. I completely wasn't paying attention and forgot that I've already done this. And if you're mainlining all of these videos, you're probably thinking at this point, wait a minute, you already did this. And you're right, I did already do it. I'm currently wearing the Crichton gauntlets. And I go through all of this and get another 3 or 5 baked husks, and then I go up and buy another set of Crichton gauntlets, and then realize that I've already got them. But anyway, I'll be wrapping this up pretty quick, realizing what I did wrong, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Thankfully, because I looked up what all could be traded, I can go ahead and get my second piece of Crichton armor, the chest armor. I think they call it the cuirass, and I had never looked up how to pronounce that, honestly. But anyway, that's got the arm pieces and the chest protection taken care of, and I can get 2 more pieces, the leggings, leggings and the boots, which, I mean, the leggings are a skirt on this armor set. And I finally remembered where Ivor True Shot was, and so we're going to head up, and I can get my next piece of armor here too, if I remember correctly. Now that's the area off to the right is some explorable area. Yeah, Crichton leggings, and we've got everything that we need for them, which is spider legs. I've been carrying those around ever since we worked around Aiden Tree Shot's area, because he had all the tree spiders in that area. So that's got everything but the boots now, and we'll be able to pick those up here pretty quick. Now go get the quest from Ivor True Shot so that we can pick up another couple of ranger skills. Every great once in a while in this game you'll get a quest like this where you have to pick up an object and carry it. Frequently under a timer. This is just the introductory quest for learning this mechanic. That basket of apples that we were at, that we found earlier in that little kind of gazebo looking area, we need to run all the way back over there, pick them up, and then carry them back to the quest giver. The big problem with this is that when you carry something, you run at half speed and you can't use any of your weapons without dropping the item. They actually introduced later in the game, it can be somewhat difficult because you'll have to carry pieces to finish out puzzles to get through some of the missions, and of course most of the missions, if I remember correctly, a lot of the missions are timed. Oh, it's been so long since I played this. And thankfully I just sped that up a whole lot more than probably what it looked like I did. Thankfully at this level the mobs that you run into really aren't going to hurt you, so you can pretty much just ignore the attacks. This is Fort Ranik. My memory is that you could do a lot more here in Pre-searing, but I guess not. It becomes a pretty important place in post-searing, at least in the very first part of the game. There's a lot more you can do here. But for some reason I was thinking that there was more stuff that you could do here in Pre-searing, but really the only point in this place in Pre-searing is you've got one quest that'll send you here. We don't even have that quest right now. We were probably meant to have it by this point, but basically after you go to the Barradin Estate, you get a quest that points you to going to Fort Ranik. But really all that's here is two different collectors. I suppose that might be one thing. If you're one of the other classes, the two collectors that are here might be more important, because you can get collectibles in the area and get 2 pieces of armor here. Anyway, the guy who's in charge here, Lord Darren, he's the subject or target of a quest that's coming up. He's right here. He's a minor lore figure. Now that we've finished the Fort Ranik run, just to discover the location, I'm going to head out through Wizard's Folly and try to finish mapping out this pathway. One of the things, when I was actually doing this, I was still kind of leaning towards maybe at least exploring all of Pre-searing just to show it all off. And then after I did a couple of the harder and more time-consuming runs, I realized that, each one of these runs I'm going to be doing is going to take playtime, an hour and a half, 2 hours to map everything out. See, I've still got like most of Green Hills County that I haven't even gone into. And you got to fight your way through everything constantly. See, if you go all the way through this part of Wizard's Folly around the Wizard Tower, you actually pass through which lower levels will be difficult to get through. You get mobbed by 2 or 3 groups of ice elementals, which includes, I think, at least 1 or 2 ice elementals. Just like any of the hulking elementals are much stronger, and also usually have some kind of status impairing attack that can cause quite a few problems. I really for attacking these things, I need to be using a hammer instead of a sword. I keep getting blood out with the sword, which is the main advantage of using the sword for an attack. Missed when I was doing this battle, but I don't actually have anyone targeted for attack. I'm just spamming heals and not doing any damage. If I was actually attacking anything, I might have actually been able to live through it. But anyway, time to run back through the cave, pay attention to what I'm doing this time, and once you're through the cave, you wind up in a little short valley that enters Green Hills County through the back way. No, I forgot. You got to go through this frozen ice falls area, and then on the back side of that, you enter a valley that heads back into the forest. Or maybe this is the dead end. Anyway, I just this battle. Alright, now we're going to head back out into Wizard's Folly, take a left again, except this time we're going to make for the one of the back entrances to the Catacombs. This is the Devourer cave side, and I kind of wish we would have explored all the way through it. I'd mentioned this part of it. If I would have born right and gone up, we end up back in that first area where we did the necromancer and monk missions through the more polished areas of the catacombs. This area stays in the back half of the catacombs, where you're running into mostly undead, and some of them pretty powerful undead too. We'll get into that in just a minute. Again, a sword is not the best weapon to use. Can't do any bleed damage to corpses. The back half of the catacombs are obviously ancient. Very, very, very ancient. And they're not really used by the Ascalonians. The Ascalonians only make use of this area back here, which is one of the reasons there's a necromancer station right there. But right down here, there's two different areas that you can get to easily. The back half is primarily the realm of only the necromancers and criminals, or at least, you know, lore-wise, you don't really run into too much of that. In Guild Wars 2, these catacombs are gone. Matter of fact, that's technically once you get after into the next part of the game in Guild Wars 1, they actually the catacombs aren't really accessible anymore. Lore-wise, they basically state that the catacombs were all collapsed and sealed off, and you know, there's probably bits of them that still exist down there, but for all intents and purposes, after the Pre-searing, the Ascalonian catacombs are gone. They're replaced in Guild Wars 2 by new Ascalonian catacombs that are kind of meant to be the same catacombs, except that they repurposed them and moved them to be underneath where Ascalon City is now, and made them, you know, the burial place of the kings that was located underneath. They did a whole lot of retconning in Guild Wars 2. It's always bugged me really exactly how much retconning that they did. And one of the things that really finally did it is one of the expansions in Guild Wars 2. They finally made it back to the desert area that's part of the later stages of Guild Wars 1, and just they completely redid it, redid the history of it, so that some of the neat lore aspects of the game are really gone now because ArenaNet retconned the story. Anyway, we're finally heading now over to the Paradise, which will be a couple of three quests that we have to do. But there's also, let's see, Duke Baradin is the axe trainer, and one of his henchmen, Little Tom, is the hammer trainer. So I'll finish out my warrior training here. This is the entrance to Duke Baradin's estate, and you can see a really breathtaking view of the Great Northern Wall off in the distance. There's also another entrance to the catacombs off in that direction that we'll need in a little bit to finish out the stuff we need in the catacombs. And one thing that I regret is I meant to run down and show you that area right beneath the wall, because it's really neat. And I completely forgot about it. The two quests in near Barradine's estate are both actually pretty simple and nearby, but I figured let's go ahead and take care of this. One of the reasons that I wanted to check it is I thought it led to another quest, and it doesn't. And now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and finish out this trip through the gargoyle side. See a couple of really neat tombs and catacombs, kill a whole bunch of gargoyles, see a fabulous bridge right at the last level, and get our last piece of Crichton armor that we're going to get Pre-searing. necropolis, still in very good shape. If I remember correctly in lore, they actually state that until recently, this area was still in use by the Ascalonians too, although the infestation of gargoyles that. Here's that lovely bridge that I was talking about. I don't think I actually need to kill anyone at this point, but this is also where the collector for gargoyle skulls is, and that's what I need to do right now. Love the red tint here. Love that kind of wrought iron looking bridge. This is the entrance to the catacombs near the Barradin estate. We'll need to come back through here again in just a little bit. Another bottle of dye. Forgot about that. And now to finish up this video, we will finish out the quest. These allies are easy to kill. There'll be a bunch of them in the gang that are a lot harder, that have much more powerful healing spells. If they're arranged in a circle like this, they'll not only attack you from all the way around, They will also constantly heal each other. It's pretty difficult, really. About the only way you can now to go kill the giant. About the only way you can do it later in the game is you have to have something that will inflict some kind of draining status. That's the only way that you can beat the mutants. That ended up being a lot easier than I expected it to be. That's it for now. I think going to have one more video and we'll be done with pre-searing and moving on to the next area.